playing cricket at the age of 11 is when I played my first national. And it was at this time that my coach introduced a practice called Tratika. Tratak is gauging the candlelight for concentration, for your attention span. And how coincidental life is that when my mother used to see me, 11-year-old kid, doing this concentration practice at night in the room, so she introduced me to a practice called transcendental meditation at the age of 11. And unlike the kids my age, I took meditation very seriously, only because I was playing sports professionally and I saw an immediate advantage of it. That I could see that intuitively there were moments where I would get into that state, which in Hindi is called Purvabhas, English we call it intuition, that your inner spontaneity blossoms and it is almost like you have an idea of what is coming ahead. But it was very accidental. It was almost like that state was choosing me. I had no power to get into that state. So it came like a glimpse. And that became a very deep question in my heart at that young age. How can at my will I enter that state of flow? And any team sport, and I generally encourage, many of you, in your family, when there are young kids, you must put them into some sort of a team sport. Team sport particularly, because it builds a very beautiful character. It prepares you for life. If you see in our today's modern times, you're also part of a corporate and media group. Things have become so competitive that there is one element missing in the society. Nobody takes their defeat gracefully these days. People become very bitter the moment they lose an argument, a job, an opportunity, and they become bitter to the ecosystem around them. And team sport particularly teaches the value that you don't only have to perform for yourself, you also have to facilitate your colleague to perform for the team. And in sports, one fine day you will lose a very important tournament. But tomorrow there is another tournament. So how to bounce back by not relating yourself either with defeat or a win and go with a fresh hope next day. This is the quality which sport taught me at a very young age. And going deeper, of course, then I did my MBA. I went into marketing. I was looking after branding of two of the apparel brands of ITC Group. I was campus picked there. Then after 5 years into marketing, I did law and then opened my own law firm. So all these transition from sports to management, marketing, then from marketing to law, only thing which made me sail through all these professions so smoothly was not being identified with the profession. Because whenever you're doing something new, the transition from marketing to law is a huge transition. Often what comes in between learning something new is the old that you have learned. Exactly your question. And there comes the concept of detachment, which in our modern society many people get scared of. We feel that detachment is meant only for monastic life, or a sadhu, or a saint wearing a saffron robe. Detachment is the superpower. If you see the spiritual essence of the word detachment, it simply means absence of greed and fear. So when Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna that focus on the task, not on the outcome. You're not the doer here, outcome is not on you. Be total with the action. He was the first philosopher to teach what detachment actually means. It is simply absence of fear and greed. What takes your attention away from the present moment? And if I take help of cricket, but we can take example of from any profession. So when a batsman is playing well and he is completely in the zone, what will take his attention away from the present moment is either an influence of fear or a greed. When a fear comes, he will immediately take his attention away from the present moment, from the act to the outcome. Now the fear is always about the outcome. What if I don't score runs today? Maybe tomorrow I will not be picked for the team. Now this attention which has gone to the outcome will give a half-hearted involvement with the present moment, and it will bring a very inferior result. Same thing happens with greed. When you're in the moment, in the act, if the greed comes in, like in case of a batsman, he will impose his desire in the present moment. He will go predetermined. He might think, okay, next ball, I'm going to step out and hit it on long on. Well, the bowler may not bowl you there. It might be a trap. But now I am not seeing the present moment for what it is. I am seeing it from the desire of how I want. And you go predetermined, you step out, but the ball is not there. So what takes you away from reality, from this very present moment? I say Maya, this illusion, has two weapons, fear and greed. And detachment is that superpower which simply means absence of fear and greed so that you can be total with your action in the moment. And that's when you go from one transition to the other without taking the baggage of the old and trying to see the new from the lens of the old. And this is what detachment taught me, and I tried bringing it to all the practices. Further going into the nature of fear and greed, they are exactly the same. If one has to understand detachment, it becomes very important to understand what fear and greed is. They are two sides of the same coin. Tell me, what are we most fearful about?
I, in fact, have a very
What lies on the other side? It becomes much easier to battle fear if you understand that how similar fear and greed are. They are two sides of the same coin. Tell me, what are you most afraid about in life? Things that you are most attached to. So if you work on your fear, you will have no greed. And if you work on your greed, you will become fearless. They are like seesaw, and they come complementary in life. A fearful person will naturally get attached to things and become very greedy also. So fear and greed are very complementary emotions which trap a person. And to be absent of fear and greed, one needs to have the courage to embrace the unknown, what he rightly mentioned. It is attachment to the known. And why we are attached to what we already know? See, our known is also the product of ego. Whatever we have experienced in life, or whatever choices that we have made, there is an illusionary image which gets built up in the head. This is me. But come to look at it, can you be only your past experiences or the choices that you have made? It is such a limited lens to see yourself, who you are. But this attachment to the known comes because there is the fear of unknown. The nature of reality, the present moment, is very unpredictable. And it is the element, it brings the element of unknown. And we are too comfortable with the known. You go to a party, you see 5 familiar faces, you immediately feel comfortable. So it is that attachment to what you have already known that prohibits you to explore the unknown. And a human being operates only out of 2 modes, memory mode and the observation mode. And 90% of the time, we are operating out of memory mode. And if I show you this mic, I ask you to experience it. Look at it. Right now, you're experiencing it. But the moment I take off the mic and ask you to now see the mic, now you're memorizing it, and it is not in front of you. Sadly, 90% of the time we operate out of our memory, this memory mode which I just showed you. Any stimulus, any event in life happens and our memory gets triggered. I know, which what you have already experienced, gets triggered. And we see the present moment from the lens of our past simply because we are too comfortable to predict it. Oh, I know about what it is. You see a person, you immediately judge it. You say, I know how he would be. All this is coming from the attachment to what you already know in life. And what you already know will naturally prohibit you to use your observation mode. So in my book, sir, I have explained that life is a journey from thinking to experiencing. Now we are gifted with one very beautiful faculty, which is thinking. That's why we are mental beings. But at the same time, we are also experiential beings. This faculty of experiencing is dormant because of the fear of unknown, because of the attachment to the known. And thinking becomes our primordial, the primary function, memory mode. Because if you see, thinking simply connects you to the past. And when you are trying to see a new experience from the lens of an old, there's always a mismatch. You're not seeing it for what it is. You're seeing it from the attachment of how you want it to be. So this simple attachment to the known creates a barrier to explore the unknown. And unknown, if you just be with me, that how thinking and experiencing don't happen together. If we understand these two ends of the pendulum, that in any given moment you're either thinking or you're experiencing. Both can't happen together. Because right now, if you start thinking something, somebody throws water at you, you'll not be able to see it. Whenever you're lost in thought, you're never experiencing anything. And when you're experiencing anything, the more deeper you go in your experience, you will see in that observation, there is more stillness, there is no thought in it. So experiencing and thinking don't happen together. Once we understand these two parallel worlds, it's very easy to move through them. And we need to work on the attention span, which is going very weak because of the algorithm, digital age, constant stimulus, which is trying to entice your emotions, to take your attention away, which is always trying to make you feel how incomplete you are. And the completion will happen only when you buy a certain product or look a certain way. And the projection which the society or our friends are making on social media, it is distancing you from your authenticity, from the knower in you. So the journey of spirituality or journey of being excellent in any profession is a journey from thinking to experiencing, inviting the unknown and observing it. It's a journey from known to the knower. It's a journey from intellect to the wisdom.
Yeah.